Gretchen Smith with Code of Vets. She is the founder of Code of Vets. And Gretchen, I need you to tell me a story about a Mr. Danny Smiley, if you wouldn't mind.
That's my dad, Sergeant Danny Smiley. He was a combat veteran back in the war in Vietnam. Came back home, a very troubled spirit. His behavior was chaotic, and I believe it was a direct reflection of how he felt on the inside. Dad did reach out for help initially when he had come back home at the VA in Asheville, North Carolina, and they told him that he had something called shell shock, and that basically he needed to suck it up and be a man and never speak of it again. And it just ate away at Dad like cancer. He never was able to find peace or long-term stability with what he had done in the jungle. He had lost some brothers in arms. It just was a horrific time, as we know. War is hell. And we ended up losing Dad back in 2005. One of my last conversations with him, I sat down and it was very raw. I was in tears, so was he. And I just said, look, Dad, I said, what are you doing? We need you. And he looked at me and he had big tears rolling down his face. And he said, Gretchen, I'm tired. They've beat me. They've won. I'm ready to go home. And I have to tell you, Jesse, I've heard those same words from so many veterans since starting Code of Vets to honor my dad. So this is an inspiration. This is a legacy for him. Code of Vets is, it's about my dad. I wanted to honor his life, his death, his service, because he mattered. And all of our veterans who commit suicide and who are really struggling out there, they matter. Their journeys need to be told. Their stories need to be shared.
Gretchen, it should be noted, by the way, to everybody, the dude was a Bronze Star recipient, so this guy was the real deal. Gretchen, why are we failing our vets? And this is what I mean by that. The country as a whole, I mean, even many Democrats, obviously not the radical left, but even many Democrats, the country as a whole loves veterans, right? I mean, you walk by one, you want to watch movies about them. You walk by one, you want to say thank you. The country as a whole loves veterans. They run out on the field at a baseball game. They're going to get a standing ovation. So why these guys who come back and they're broken physically and or mentally, do they get kind of tossed aside? Do we not want to think about them in that way? Why? I'm missing the disconnect.
There's a huge disconnect, and it's the $1 million question. And I'm out here every day in the weeds with individual veterans every day. So is my partner, Dr. Cindy Walter, walking with them, finding them assistance. And that we put our veterans, we thank them for their service. And yes, we do value our veterans as a nation. But when it comes down to day-to-day, helping them through that transition from military time back into the civilian world and finding their way back to stability, we're dropping the ball. The suicide issue is very complex. You know, there's many life issues that contributes to it. PTSD is part of it, TBI, a poor family support system, not a strong community support network. Our brothers and sisters in arms come back home and they lose that camaraderie. Brotherhood is real. You know that. You've experienced it. I've experienced it. And when you come back and you don't have that and you're trying to find it, you can lose your way and you can take a nosedive very quickly without any kind of support. So I think it's on us as a nation to figure out how do we provide grassroots local community support as these veterans are coming out, of service, especially our combat vets. They really need that. We go into basic training, we're torn down and we're built up to work as a team, to function as a team. But when we leave the military, we separate or retire, we do not get that same type of intense training, and we need that. We need mechanisms put in place for our veterans. And this is something that we should be having a discussion on the national level every single day until we can get these suicide numbers down, Jesse. There's been a surge because of last year with the COVID restrictions and shutdown. So we've got a surge in suicides versus reducing these numbers. So this is something we need to be out here. It's a worthy conversation. It can pull our nation together. It is bipartisan. We all need to rally around our warriors because they're the ones who've served and who've honored our nation and preserved our freedoms.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me. Thanks.